Welcome to Fort Grit Diamonds in the Rough, where we dive deep into vibrant stories of triumph in Fort Smith, in a city that demands grit. We celebrate the spirit of success against all odds. Join us as we uncover inspiring narratives, exploring the journey, the rough diamonds to gleaming success stories.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Fort Grit Diamonds in the Rough podcast with my guy, Lloyd. Listen, I just want to say I apologize for the previous, but we've been talking about this earlier, right? And we've realized our last couple of podcasts are almost like news shows. We've taken it very, we try to get very serious and have these very serious conversations.
Yeah.
And we're like, man, that's just not us. And as we're doing this, we're trying to navigate what works for us, right? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And so what people want to see. And of course we have to kind of vibe with the guests we have on the show.
Of course.
But it's we're just ready to be ourselves. We have an hour and a half in here vibing.
Yeah.
Maybe drinking a little.
A little bit.
You spoke openly about how speaking for you is rough, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of rough for me, because I'm not the best speaker,
Mm-hmm.
but I came into this knowing that,
Right.
So I'm just trying to.
And you found his niche and loosen up. Me, I talk all the time. I don't know how to shut up, and so this was perfect for me. I could talk in a padded room, so it works. So I'm excited because we have an amazing guest on our show today. I've been nervous about this one.
I have too.
Not even gonna lie. I'm not even gonna lie. I've been nervous just because, you're a big personality. You've got a huge social media following. You're really ruffling some feathers in the community, and I love that. So, and I'm here for that. And so I just really wanted to. We were thinking about how we're going to represent this show with you and what we wanted to do. And so we were like, okay, we've got to make sure that we really cover all of our bases with you. So let's get into it. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us your name. Tell everybody who you are.
Yes, so I'm Jadayia Kursh. I'm born and raised in Fort Smith. I'm the executive director of Ag for Kids. So we introduce kids that come from kind of the same background as me that wouldn't have access to Ag, FFA, and 4-H to all of the opportunities that they have in the agricultural world.
So I love it because we moved to I live in Oklahoma, and I just moved to Roland 3 years ago. And I come from Fort Smith, where we went to big schools like Southside. I went to Van Buren and Bell Point, a couple other delinquent schools. I like to get around, but and they never had that. But now since we switched to Oklahoma schools, they have archery and Future Farmers of America and ag and teaching them how to I love plants and growing things. And it's all these things that I think I wish I would have learned as a younger kid because I don't know how to do shit. I just was an athlete. That's all I knew. So I think that's super exciting. So I asked you earlier, are you single? I mean, we have a little situation going.
Yeah.
Just in case y'all are having a good day, she's taken. But tomorrow, if you don't messed up, boy, you is not taken, okay? She's a single woman, so it depends. So can we play a little game with you?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. We're going to play a little game,
Okay.
and we're going to ask you some questions, okay?
Okay.
Because we want to get to know you,
Okay.
and we're going to dive into your story and all the juicy tea, but we just want to kind of loosen up and get to know you a little bit, okay?
Yeah.
This part of this. So we're going to do it. Okay. Just random questions. All right. So
Okay.
First question is, if you were a supervillain, what scandalous crime would you commit?
Oh my
And you
goodness.
better make it scandalous, girl. You better make it scandalous, girl.
So if I was a supervillain,
Mm-hmm.
what would I do? Oh my gosh,
I know this is on the spot.
Like a supervillain. What would be the
You're a villain, so you're doing some negative stuff.
Yeah.
I know I would probably
Mm-hmm.
fly through my ex's wall
Okay.
and maybe put I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, cut up his tie. I don't know. I've done this. That's not a super villain move, is it? If you've already done it, I don't know. I would do something shiesty.
Yeah.
So you going
Okay.
through walls and
Maybe going through walls and scaring the shit out of them, pretending to be a ghost. I don't know. I really want to go deeper, but that could be criminal at this moment. So I can't do that. But so super villain. What do you think?
Supervillain. If I was a supervillain, I would probably.
I feel like this is Miss America.
I know. I don't even know what to think. I mean, Because I know how to be shiesty. That's
So
easy.
you watch
He's like, I don't have to be a
Yeah.
supervillain.
Marvel and like
Marvel.
See, like I like
would do, like,
anime.
Doesn't make you like walk into a wall in front of like a really hot girl, or like make you do some weird
Yeah,
shit.
I would think of something like
Yeah.
that. Like if I could control something, like maybe make you embarrass yourself, I would.
That's okay.
absolutely
That's
do
perfect. That's perfect. Okay. What is your biggest dating ick?
Oh my goodness. For me, it's like, oh my God, I remember this guy, we were like barely even talking, and he was like, called me like big money or something like that. I was like, what's wrong?
he called you what?
Big money?
Yeah, I don't even know. I'm like,
Rap name?
I think when people follow you, they have like this
This
perception
assumption.
of who you are and all this stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I like grown men, act like one.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's my biggest
Yeah.
thing. Just like guys that act like little boys.
I read a thing today. I was reading, it was like biggest ick,
Mm.
and it was like one girl posted when a guy drops a penny on or a quarter on the floor and they chase it. You know when it rolls and they go after
Yeah.
Hey, man, hey.
little things like that, because we were talking about I'm addicted to the show Love Is Blind,
Okay.
and let me know, I'll put you on. Okay,
So, you watch that?
you don't have to watch it. You would actually be fantastic for it, and with your platform, I really think you could
Okay.
probably get into some reality.
Oh,
shows,
yeah.
I
Oh, of
think.
course.
There's
Yeah.
been a few that I've turned down.
Yeah,
Wow,
well, if you go to
really?
Love Is Blind,
Yeah.
I'm rooting for you. Okay?
Okay.
You and the pods, but you'll have to look into it. It's amazing. And they were talking about icks like that, so I thought that was funny. Okay, what is your biggest guilty pleasure?
Feeding into negative comments.
That's got to be
Yeah.
tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you read everything that's on your social
Not
media?
everything, but majority of it.
Is that hard for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like so funny whenever I see people that like have said or commented on like negative things about me, and then they like follow me. I'm like, what the hell's
right. Yeah.
Like, so you really love
Yeah,
it here.
You love it here. Yeah, you love it over here. Yeah.
Mhm.
And we were just talking about that because we had like some negative comments. Really, we were kind of confused
Yeah.
by it. It's just one particular
I was really
person.
confused about it.
Yeah.
I just.
They are too.
I didn't,
They are that part. They are.
I didn't entertain it. I just deleted it.
Yeah. But I can see with your platform, because I think that you want to do so good, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is just off of assumption, but like you want to do so good and change so much that you want to see change and you want to see positive feedback, because that's what you're going for.
Absolutely.
And when you see that negative, you're like, wait a minute, wait, no, that's, and I could see how that would bother
Like
you,
critiquing
right?
yourself, and I'm like, no. I think I've just really went through a like big transformation of understanding that a lot of people choose to misunderstand me.
Oh, absolutely.
Not understand, they choose to. So like, I'm not here to re-educate. Google's free. Like, I'm not here for all that.
And that's
So
good that
you
you're-
interpret it how you need to make you feel comfortable.
And that's smart that you've learned that at such a young age and so early on in your career of all the things that you're doing, which we'll get into, because holy crap, I've got to set my game up. Okay. Do you have a secret talent, and can you do it right now if you have one?
So I think what people like are always taken back by, I actually like my major in college, I graduated with a journalism degree. So
I love that.
I
yeah.
like to write.
Right.
Yeah, and I actually like do plays. And I have like, well, with my new book coming out that we
Oh
haven't
yeah,
talked
we're gonna
about.
get into that too.
Yeah.
We have the exclusive
Yeah.
one for great.
Did like it has a theme song, like just the whole little creative directing of like, I don't know, I feel like I'm good in front of the camera, like I know how to model.
Right. Yeah.
Behind the camera too.
Yeah, and that's kind of your
The,
thing.
like fun
Yes.
things that come with
I
it.
feel like that's aligned with what you like to do.
You think so?
Well, yeah, because you were talking here about like game shows and stuff, and how that's more like you want to be the idea and production behind it, and let
Yeah.
somebody else, like you're like the ghostwriter
Yes.
of things like that.
I just because when I first made like Fort Grit, like I didn't plan on even being in this. Like I wanted to just be like the visionary, of
Right.
it,
Kind of direct it.
and find someone to kind of like hey, let's put you here.
Right.
And
The
then-
idea.
Exactly. Because again, like I know I'm not the best speaker, but I mean I'm still gonna speak. But
Oh, we know. Ours are half a bottle of tequila. You gonna speak? You were in here speaking earlier. I wish you would have a secret camera. I love that about you, though, Lloyd. Like, I would want you to, like, I love who you were, and you're fine. You're doing great now.
I mean,
no,
I'm still
you
down
don't
for all
loosen
that.
up.
I mean, I don't care being on camera. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
good.
And I love that you're overcoming that fear,
Yeah.
because that's a lot. Because you've talked a lot about, your speech and how your voice with COVID and things like that. And it takes a lot to get up and kind of do something in front of a bunch of people you don't even know are watching.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's hard. And I
Again,
can
like what you said too. and like me and you spoke about it too earlier about how like we don't really watch our videos.
No.
Because you're always your own worst critic.
Do you watch yours?
Like,
Sometimes when I talk, no.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
I will
yeah.
not. I'm like,
and I hate hearing my voice like recorded because I don't think I sound like.
I think everyone. I don't
Sound
have that
funny.
sexy radio Sunday voice where they're like,
But
"Call
you know,
me for a good
hey,
time."
it is what it is. It is what
Hey,
it
we're doing it, and that's all that matters. Okay, last question before we dive in. And I'm sorry if you've ever used this line. Okay, I
is.
hope.
You talking about me?
Now I'm talking to her, but if this offends you, I apologize. You guys step your game up too, because he's single. So we've been trying to find somebody for like 10 years for him. So, what is the funniest pickup line someone has ever tried to use on you?
oh my goodness. I actually made a TikTok about this.
Oh, I love it. Okay.
Like, oh, can you ride me like you ride your horse? I'm like, what's
Whoa.
wrong with y'all? I don't even think it's funny. I think it's annoying.
I mean, I don't know. I got
Yeah.
that's kind of good. I'd be like, tell me more. 8 seconds.
I mean,
There-
like, that's the first
Or two.
thing they said to you when meeting you.
I mean, comments.
Yeah, I'm sure you get it.
Someone DM'd me the other day. Can I flirt with you? I'm like, what does that
I
even
mean, like,
mean?
I'm sure your boxes like jumping.
Yeah. Oh, I'm
Probably,
sure you're
probably
deep.
jumping.
Yes. Yeah. What is give us a pickup line?
Mhm.
So, I ain't trying to be nosy, but I'm sure you have probably got like any celebrities
Oh.
that have hit
Oh, this is so good.
that have hit you up.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to take my.
In
The
the
tea
inbox?
is piping hot.
I mean, like you don't have to answer the question.
Just
You don't
roundabout.
have to.
Just shake.
Well,
just
I
blink
mean-
twice if it's a yes.
I've actually shared one of them, so I think I'm
Oh.
okay.
Okay. Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
So I met Shaq at the gym.
What?
Okay.
You talking
Okay.
about what?
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say, because we've left the boundaries off the table. We talked about that, right? That is one of the things I have heard about you.
Are you?
That you were okay. So I'm gonna tell you what I heard, and then
Okay.
we can clear because I've heard this, right?
Okay.
And people see
Just
stuff and they go
let me
that
know
you were
too.
dating. You were like secretly. Here's the rumor, okay? In Fortson, and I love it. 'Cause I'm jealous, and if it's true, you and I are gonna talk because I bet it is. Isn't it? Okay. Okay. That you were dating Shaq, like that you were dating him, and like y'all have a little thing behind closed doors.
This is getting juicy.
So good. Okay, but here's the deal. This is,
Yeah.
people come up with their own stories.
Absolutely.
So that is what I heard. So continue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I died. I'm like, where's Shaq?
So I mean, we like met at the gym, and I actually live in McDonough, Georgia. So, yeah, he lives in McDonough as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so we go to the same gym actually, LA Fitness. So, I mean, we met at the gym. Did we date? No.
Oh, okay. Okay. Is he
Um,
nice?
Yeah, he's really.
Is he
sweet.
really nice?
Yeah,
He
he's
does give
actually
that
sweet.
like, and is he really big in
Yeah,
person?
he's just ginormous. That's it. I think.
Yeah, he
You know,
is.
people just like, I think people think that, like, whenever people are very like tall, they're intimidating. But no, like
He was
I
really
think
cool.
they're-
Yeah.
really cool.
How did y'all talk? Were you
Um,
like, hey, hand me that 200-pound dumbbell. I got to warm up. And he's like, okay. And then y'all like grabbed dumbbells at the same time and locked eyes. Is that how it happened?
So it was so funny. Everybody was freaking out because he like walked in the gym and they were like, "Oh, that's Shaq." I didn't even think think it was really him.
Yeah.
And so he was working out at the set not far from me, and I was like, "Bro, are you Shaq?"
Yeah.
No, that's me. And
Yeah.
He was
I'm
like,
sure
"Yeah."
that humbled the shit out of him to be like,
I was
what's
like,
going on? Like,
And then I was upstairs, like running on the treadmill. No. Was I? I think I was downstairs. They just moved the treadmills upstairs, and like it was like this big ass like hand, like a bird or something, was like flapping, like telling me to come here. And we like talked and took a
I
picture.
love
And I was
that,
like,
yes.
I like FaceTime my mom. I was like, Mom.
it's right because you humbled the shit out of him. Like,
Yeah.
are you really him? Instead of being like, fangirling. I
like,
love
Are
that.
you Shaq for real? Yes. And I was like, everyone's like saying,
Yeah.
yeah.
This is a movie that I used to watch as a kid because I'm quite a bit older than you. I'm 36. Okay, so
I think I'm older than all of
you're older.
Yeah.
So what is it that Shaq movie he was on? And I used to watch it.
Are you talking about like Raise the Genie or something?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Was it
And he was
Shazam?
Yes, I think that was that with Shaq in the basketball movie, and he comes out as a genie?
I think
that
so.
Oh,
Jay?
yeah.
Okay, I was like, Jay, give me some confirmation behind the story. He was like, yeah. And so I love that. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing, and
Yeah.
I'm so excited about your candidness and like open because like I have a lot of questions.
Because you didn't have to answer that question.
Yeah.
No,
So I'm appreciative of that. Okay,
Yeah,
so
you're fine.
all right, I'm ready to get started. That was fun. You ready to get started?
Let's get it.
I want to know about you, and I want to know, like, I want people to, I know what you put out there, right? And I know what people see and what people come up with, and we just gave a good, you know, you meet somebody at the gym, next thing you know, you're dating him, he's paying your bill, right? You know, in that story can, you know, so on and so forth. I know, because that's small town, and that's with you're on a bigger platform like that, I'm sure all over, right?
Yeah.
So I want you to tell us who you are, where you're from. I want to know the hardest parts about you, and I want people to really see the vulnerable side of you. And I really think that whatever misconception, you know, you are a very strong personality. You're very confident. And that is one thing I did hear about you, that your mom actually raised you to be a very confident woman.
Oh, yeah.
I have heard that verbatim from somebody. So, and that was when I was talking to a friend of mine about you, I was like, you know, do you know anything about her? Just, you know, any kind of heads up or whatever. And that was one thing that they had said, was that your mom raised you and your sibling to be that confident person. So shout out to moms for that.
Yeah.
So that's a good positive note, I think. Right.
Yes.
So, all right. So let's start from the beginning. You ready?
I'm ready.
I love this. Let's dive into it, babes. Where are you from?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Fort Smith. I went to Northside High School for 2 years. I was the first female to play football at Northside. I was a defensive.
You told me that. Yes.
Yeah, because I remember like I seen you one night downtown, and you told me about that. I was like, no fucking way. I was like, no way. And then
New Year's?
Defensive end right tackle.
huh?
You're about New
No,
Year's?
it was New Year's.
Because I saw you there too.
It was about what?
I just
about,
passed you and you were walking. I was like,
about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And you showed me a picture. I was like, oh shit, she was. And then like I kind of asked you about it, and you really out there in full pads with these guys.
Oh yeah.
what made you want to do that?
Honestly, the head coach like laughing in my face when I told him what position I wanted to play.
Yeah.
I didn't even think I really wanted to do it as much as I wanted to do it until he was like, "Oh, you won't last a week." Well, now I got.
Now you got to prove it, right?
Yeah.
So that mentality, did it stem? So let's go back to, you're from Fort Smith. What is your early life? I'm talking about from being a baby, your parents. What does that look like for you?
So my mom she was pregnant with me when she was 15, and then my dad, he's been in federal prison most of my life.
Okay.
So, yeah, my grandmother was in prison when I was born. So it was like me and my mom, and we kind of grew up together. And then
How old was she when she had you?
she was 16 when she had me. Wow. Yeah.
And how old was your dad?
My dad was 19.
Okay. So I had my daughter at 17. I was in high school as well too. And then and I, when you said that y'all grew up together, that really like that clicks for me, because that was the same with me and my daughter. But I mean, I had no idea what I was doing, you know, and she's almost 18 now. And it's like seeing like her become this beautiful woman, and like seeing you do the same. As for your mom, I'm sure I can speak for her and say like, man, like I'm sure we like we did that, because it could have gone so much worse. And like my son's dad's in prison as well too. And so I resonate with that, because I have also have a child whose father has been incarcerated majority of his life, even whenever he was born. And the statistics are way, it's the statistics are there, right? And when you go and you visit your parents in prison, like my son met his dad for the first time in prison, and I will say that is no reflection on me as a person, because I had nothing to do with that lifestyle he was living or those decisions he was making. I just fell in love with a person who just made bad choices, right? A person, you know. And so when you go in there, I can't even tell you, Lloyd, how many kids were in there during visitation.
Really?
Oh, it's astronomical. And my son was so young, but as he got older, I keep reminding him, you have no idea, baby, how many kids are out there like you.
Oh, yeah.
So did you ever visit your dad?
Oh, I still visit my dad.
Do you?
They could never make me hate him. It's my dad, you know. And like, to even put myself in the position when I was younger, maybe, but as a woman, I don't even put myself in the position to think, oh, like, did I contribute to this? How could this been prevented? My dad always tells me he's one of the most intelligent individuals I've ever met in my life.
They always are.
Street oriented, all of that, book smart. Like, he's so intelligent. And so whenever he always tells me, he's like, I'm an animal. I grew up in a zoo. You know, how can I blame my dad for what he comes from? You know, he was 13 when he got his first sack of cocaine and a pistol from his mom.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like
So he really grew up.
like how could I hate him? How could I now was it rocky? Was it hard? Of course. It took a lot to be able to be comfortable and where we're at now. Like there was a point when we didn't talk. But I mean, yeah, that's my dad. That's, you know, when I'm going through something, I hate that I can't like call him, because I'm like, he's so like reassuring for me, refreshing, back on the right track. Like when I'm going through something, I'm like, oh, why can't I just call him? Because I know I would feel better after talking to him. Like, and he never validates anything that I'm doing, even if I'm wrong. He's gonna like say it. He's gonna, you know, it's.
Well, I think too, you guys have that emotional connection that most parent, you know, people don't have with their parent, because it's very day-to-day things. Get your clothes ready, you know, get this. And I know like your mom probably, you know, do you have siblings?
Yeah, I'm the oldest of 6.
And is that from your mom and dad?
From like, I mean, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
But like, I think daughters need their dads, because
absolutely
the father brings a whole different kind of you know, like it's just different from the mom's loving and the dad's loving.
Oh yeah.
I was talking about, so to piggyback off of what you just said, one of my really good friends, we were talking about that, because I have a strained relationship with my biological dad, but my stepdad came in and raised me, and I'm so grateful for him. But she said that moms are there to teach their sons like how to be treated by a woman and how to treat a woman. But dads are supposed to be there to show their girls how men are supposed to treat them. I know that I didn't have that.
I like that.
You know, and so that really changed the trajectory of my relationships, because, you know, my own dad like never told me I was pretty or never did things like that. So what I was saying earlier was like, you know, your mom. So to kind of like set the picture, are all 6 kids from your mom and dad?
No.
Okay. So
my dad, I think I have like 2 brothers, but I mean, I don't know them. From my dad.
From your dad. Okay. Yeah. So going into this, like what I was saying with your dad being in that connection emotionally, which may be ironically, considering the situation, almost kind of a better situation, because, you know, moms, we're busting our ass to work. Yeah. Get your clothes, get your this. We got to go. We don't really have a lot of time just to sit and just like, you know, have that one-on-one, which we do, but not like that. But when you're with your dad on a phone call from prison, and I know this because I was a jailhouse wifey for many years. That was my life. You're so locked into that conversation. Oh yeah. There's no distraction, and you're all that they're thinking about. So when they're not on the phone with you, he's probably in the back like all day stewing on like what can I say better to her next time, you know? And
absolutely,
what a connection that is. So that's, if there's any positive to look at it. Oh yeah, that's a very beautiful way to look at it. And I would love to talk to you more off camera. Yeah, because like I'm looking at my son, you know, 10, 15 years from now, and wondering where his head is at, 'cause his dad's about to get out Tuesday. And so, you know, and he's not very talkative about that. So I'd love to kind of maybe get some advice from you. Absolutely. So taking it there, you're, you know, what kind of kid were you growing up?
Oh my goodness. I mean, my teachers could tell you best. I was like always in SDC, always in detention.
Really? SDC.
Yes. Really, it was more because of the way I used to try to get over on the teachers, not because I was like outside, like being disrespectful to the students. I thought I was the teacher. I talked too much. I talked back. Okay. I'll never forget in 4th grade, I had the same 2nd and 4th grade teacher. Love her. We're like friends on every social media. That's my girl. But she was a teacher, and I thought I was a teacher. And she put me on red one day, and I went home and I signed my mom's name on this SDC for this. I signed my mom's name on and her name is Louise, so I put a heart for the I. Oh, okay. She was like, I gave her my red slip, and she was like, go to the office. She's like, go to the office. But really, it was up until I would say like junior high or high school. I think it was more of just not understanding. Whenever I was 6, I was sexually assaulted. That's actually how I was introduced to horses. So I don't think I was more of like a disobedient student because I got my ass whooped at home. So I wasn't like talking back at home. But like when it come to like school, I think it was more of just like I had a lot. I seen my dad a lot in prison when I was younger. And I think for me being young, it was too much maybe.
Do you think that was kind of like your place to gain a little control? Yeah, and like maybe you could control the narrative a little bit.
Yeah, and seeking like attention and stuff like that. And my mom did have like 4 kids at home at that point. So it was like a lot going on. I think I more just like expressed myself in a way, like you said, like being able to have control and like taking my power back a little bit, maybe looking at it from that perspective. But
what was that like, having that many siblings at home? I mean, you had, how many siblings did you live with in your roof?
So I didn't live with the last one, Kingston. He's 4, all of them except for him. It was a lot.
You're like mama hen.
It was it was just so many different personalities. I think that's what it is. But I mean, I loved them all. They all loved me. So
I can imagine.
It was just a lot. I was very much my own person though. Like, and till this day, we just argue a lot, all of us. We just have a lot of
your vibes.
You
know what I mean? Like, you see those badass kids, and I've even said to you, I'm like, my kids are either going to be in prison or run a cult or be a pastor. Because they're such like strong-willed kids, and I think that if we tuned in more to like, instead of say, oh, they have ADHD or ADD, or let's give them medication, maybe tune into more of their personality traits and be like, man, they would be really strong over here. You know, maybe they're just really smart and bored, and this is why they're acting up. Or maybe they come from a household of several siblings, and
that's a good point.
They want this attention, and they're maybe, you know, telling them to lead a group because they like to have their say and be that, instead of just saying, let's put a label on it. Maybe that might be a little bit more beneficial to some of these kids, you know.
Well, you know, you say that, you know, that same teacher, Miss Hutchinson, that I had from 2nd and 4th grade.
Yeah, she's like, damn, I got another.
When she was my 4th grade teacher. She moved up a grade. You know,
Miss Hutchinson, damn, I'm elevating over here, damn.
I like for people to speak honestly about me, like, you know, especially like if you know me. Like, if you don't know me, please just shut up. But if you know me, and so I was like, I can't remember what interview it was, but I was like, this would be a great teacher to talk to.
Yeah.
And then, you know, she'd come to me, she'd sent me this really long, I think she like put it in the mail for me. Just how she was like, whenever I was her student, she didn't know that I'd went through so much young. She's like, I wish I would have known all these things about me. It would have explained more of, you know, the way behavior. That you expressed yourself.
So getting, go ahead.
No, so I think it's just that lack of like, sometimes people, when you're young, people just don't know. So it's hard to guide someone that you think is just being a bad student or has ADHD or has this. Like, it's easy to put a label on something, and so much more difficult to actually understand and get to know people.
And it's not the kids that are always dirty. No. It's not the kids that have secondhand. You know, I say secondhand. I'm wearing secondhand clothing right now. But back, I mean, in school age, when I was in school, which was a long time ago, you know, those secondhand, you know, those kids always had a look about them. They weren't clean. They had clothes they would wear same day, 2 days in a row. And those are always the kid that you're like, oh, that kid has problems. But they fail to, you know, realize it's the kid that has the nice clothes. It's the kid that's always on time to school. And those are the kids that are going through a lot. Was there anybody you ever just wanted to reach out and say, hey, this is happening to me. This is what's going on. Help me? Or did you just take him to like, you know what, I'm gonna, you know, I'm just so strong-willed that I'm just gonna deal with it, and I'm gonna act, and this is who I am.
Very strong-willed. I think for me it was like sports and being able to like
that was your outlet.
It wasn't really like talking. I'm gonna be honest, like for me, even just being 24, I know I'm a different
You're 24.
person. Like, wow. I know that I'm very
24. I was pussy popping as a cowboy, eating that Benson, okay, and wondering who I was going to swipe up next on Tinder, okay? Like, so, wow, okay. Go on, girl. Pop off, girl. I'm just going to sit my old ass here while you do your thing.
I think for me, and that's another part of, like, just connecting and, like, being, me and my dad didn't really have, like, a really good relationship till I was 18, 19. So I think whenever we did connect, I was like, oh, this is why I'm like this. Like, I'm just like him. Like,
the dots.
Like, oh, wow. I'm not, I have a lot of characteristics of my mom, but like the mentality and all of like the drive comes from.
It filled in the blank. Yeah.
And so when I think of like, people that I wanted to reach out to, or not, I didn't feel like I needed saving from anyone.
Okay. Yeah.
You know? And I think that, I've always thought very mature, very far advanced, very
grow up.
Yeah. So like being around people my age, like I said, I think as I grew up, it was more of understanding that people just don't understand, you know, common sense is not common. I had to learn that. But people choose not to understand
Yeah.
me, or they just don't want to, or
Yeah.
they just can't comprehend it. And
Were you
so
around a lot of adults as when you were a younger kid? Like my daughter was never, because I was so young.
Mm-hmm.
She was never around, like, because nobody my age had kids really. And so when we were out going out, or whether it was a cookout or a party, she was always around adults.
Yeah.
And she kind of embodied that adult like behavior. She was always very, very, very mature, and she still is.
Yeah.
And she has her opinion. She's and you remind me, I could see Brooklyn's characteristics a lot like you. Is just like she wholeheartedly believes in something. She's very passionate, but she was also around adults.
Yeah.
I never baby talked her. I never treated her like a baby.
Oh yeah.
So that always
Yeah.
just kind of made her carry herself. She always wanted to be in grown folks' business and conversations. If we were there talking about something, that bitch is out that way. So were you always around adults and stuff?
I
Besides
would
when your
say,
siblings were born?
yeah, I would say, I mean, just exposed to a lot of things like really young, and I was around a lot of I would say more mature people and things. My mom, her friends, I was always in grown folks' business.
Yeah.
Today's episode wouldn't be possible without one of our amazing sponsors, Franklin for Life, a trucking company steering you towards success. You want to get a hold of them? No problem. 479-384-1586. Thank you, Franklin for Life.
Yeah.
Oh, what was I about to say? Yes, it was definitely like that for me. My mom had me, and I was always with her. My grandmother, I was exposed to a lot of, I was going to say, nothing in life was ever like sugar coated for me. Like, even though I didn't know my grandma was doing crack, I knew something was wrong with her.
Right.
So I was exposed to like all of that with her.
Do you care to
Drinking
take it
every
through
day.
Are you okay to take us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't know. I'm trying to think of what age, because even like I used to take my friends over there when we were like, when I started driving at 15, but like even when we were younger, we would like go to my grandma's house.
Did you live there, or just
you
visited?
Oh yeah, we didn't live there, but we were always at her house.
Yeah.
She always lived at 1109 Bell Avenue
okay.
until like till about 4 years ago, but like my whole childhood she was right there. So we just spent a lot of time over there. We used to like sneak out of her house, but she was always drunk, Okay. And I always thought it was like, I mean, I think it took me being like an adult and realizing like, oh, my grandma's like on drugs. Like, I used to think that she was like, and she is schizophrenic, bipolar, all these things. But, she would be like asking me to like brush her skin. And I used to think it was like her schizophrenia, but whole time, like, it's just reacting to like the drug that she's on. And then like
Did
the
your
alcohol.
mom know? Was this your mom's mom or your dad's mom?
My grandmother.
Was it your mom's
my
mom?
mom's mom?
Okay.
Yeah.
So did she knew?
Oh yeah, my grandma's been to prison twice. She was in prison when I was born. She went to prison the first time when my mom was 8. I think 8. Yeah, that was the youngest she was. So they were always like in and out of my aunt's houses and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's just a lot.
If the electric was on, the water was off. If the water was off, the heat was, it was always something.
There's something going on.
Yeah, so it was very, she always chose her boyfriends over them.
Okay.
So, but I think that she tried to like, I'm her favorite grandkid. She's still alive. So
yeah, I love it.
She like always treated me like, I feel like in a way of like trying to make up for, but she could never, she was still,
Still, did your mom struggle with anything like that?
No.
Really?
No. I always say for me too, I grew up around everything I knew I didn't want to be like.
Yeah.
But my mom, no, never with.
So she just was like very, like she had you young, but like she handled her business.
Oh yeah.
That's
amazing.
amazing.
She didn't let us go through anything like that. Ever.
Talking to you, it's crazy. I've been through my own warfare of things, and I know we all have.
Right.
But definitely not to the level of, with the drugs. But I mean, same thing when I was a kid. I was like, assaulted by a girl. I mean, she was younger, and it was happening to her from her uncle and things like that. But my grandma, she struggles with mental health as well too, and I'm her first granddaughter or grandchild. And she's manic bipolar and probably some schizophrenia in there as well too, and she's on some medication for that. She is my person. Going through a tumultuous childhood where I wouldn't say structure, but having a solid foundation that was my home.
Mm-hmm.
She lived in the same house. They still do live in the same house. And so when things were very traumatic at my household, because my mom was in a very abusive relationship, you know, I could go there. And I remember looking back at that, she would cry a lot, or she was very paranoid, or some, you know, there was no drug use there, but like, I don't know if you've ever been around anyone that's had like mental health like that. It's very chaotic.
Oh yeah.
And I used to think people would were hurting her feelings all the time. Like, you're being so mean to her or whatever. Now, looking back, I know what it is. But I remember just seeing that and thinking, am I going to be like that? And I have a lot of those characteristics. And that has also played into my biological dad having mental health. My mom's went through it, you know. So I can imagine taking that on. Now, I didn't see it to the caliber you did, but I do understand, like, being young and seeing that and not understanding it, but kind of almost think it was fun at times. Like, she would go and blow money like nobody's business and buy me whatever. And then 2 weeks later, have no idea why her credit card was up $5,000, you know, because she was manic, you know. So I know, you just loved her through all of that?
Oh, yeah. You know, she's been like semi-sober because she's completely disabled now. Wow. I think she did like a bad, you know, batch of coke or crack, whatever. But, yeah, I remember when she first got sick and I went to the hospital to see her, and, you know, just as she lived with me when she first got sick, so that was crazy. But like whenever she did go to a nursing home for 1 year, and I remember when I went to visit her, I like didn't go back for a little bit because I was like, I don't know who the hell that is. Like, that was never, her sober was never my norm. So I remember being like, oh my goodness, I wish my grandma could do drugs again. You know, I was like, I would do anything that's how I knew her. That was my normal with her. So I didn't know her sober. So it was like awkward. I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy.
And I hear that if you talk to addicts, they say the same thing, you know, like that they've been high for so long that they don't know who they are sober, and they honestly like themselves better high, whether that makes them more outgoing or whatever the case is. But like, I can't, yeah. So I mean, she's still like the same, but it was just different. Like, like, wait, I mean, I was young, like I was like 19 when she first stopped walking and like having to be sober, so it was like completely like my whole 19 years of being alive, you've been this person. And we are. Wow, thank you for sharing that. That's gotta be,
it's a good story.
So take us to high school. Where's your head at in high school? You're going into high school. What does life look like for you there? Give us a set of what your household looks like and you kind of where you're at there. Yeah, so I remember, so my little sister Asha was like 3 or 4. We were best friends when we still are, but like when she was itty bitty. High school was, I mean, I did play football in high school. Did you play a game? Did you play any game? She played. Listen,
she was getting hit by grown men.
Okay, I just want to listen
and hitting them back.
Hit on.
So, did you play the whole year? Did you play?
I played for 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. I was there. I graduated in 17, so I was there 16 and 15.
Did you play with Matt Jones? Was he there like when you played or no?
Matt Jones. I was with Norwood and Tom
Okay.
And DeAndre Harper.
My bad.
Yeah. So what were that? So first off, I'm just gonna say it because this is what we're doing today. I don't know if y'all seen this girl's body, but I bet your ass looks so damn good in those football pants. She's like football. I'm like, listen, I bet your ass feel that girl. She knew what she was doing when she signed up for that. She's like, yes. She's like, I'll be looking fun, and then I'm gonna beat your ass in pads. Okay, so yes. So what was like the energy from the guys on the team with that? Were they like, because come on now, you're beautiful. So are they like, I don't want to hurt you, and then they're like, bitch, you hurt me. So
it was okay. At first, I felt like it was very I mean, I was still wearing makeup to practice. I remember DeAndre was like, why are you wearing makeup to practice? I didn't know. Like, shit, I'm used to wearing makeup. What do you mean? No, it was just a different adjustment for me and them. I really had beef with my head coach. I didn't have beef with my teammates. Yeah. They did all think I was cute, but I didn't want any of them. Yeah. But as far as, like, Getting hit, were they scared? I mean, the first guy that ever tackled me, he did try to help me back up. And coach yelled at him. But then, like, I think I learned quick it was way better to give the lick than to receive it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I wasn't nice either because the O-line, the guys older than me, were not nice to me. And I remember being on the sideline, like being on the line with Big Will. And I would tell him, you know, if I go to the ground, I would say, your big ass is going.
Yes, yeah.
And I would pull him by his face mask down to the ground with me because he used to go hard on me. Like, I'm 110.
Big Will?
Yes.
Well, we got beef with you. You had him.
I was 115, 20 pounds. But I mean, could I keep up with them? Absolutely. Did I do everything they did? Absolutely.
Was that therapeutic for you?
I think so. I think I needed it to be able to, I mean, I just played sports. I'd played everything.
Yeah.
I mean, softball, volleyball, basketball. I was like, I want to play football. I went to Trinity for my 9th grade year of junior high school, and they said I couldn't play football there. So I was like, well, when I get to high school, if they tell me no, I'm going. It's discrimination. Yeah. So like, right. I'm playing football, and I did, and so that's kind of how it all came to attrition. But like, the guys, I think more than anything, like, especially when I was no longer on the team, it was more of a respect thing.
That's awesome.
Like, even until this day, some of them will be like, I just still can't believe you were on the sidelines with us. Like,
so, like, did you gain the coach's respect, too?
I mean, yeah, they all respect me, of course. My head coach, no, we never had a understanding. He actually kicked me off the football team my junior year. Yeah.
Did you mouth off to him?
Always.
This play needs to be like this, okay? Me.
I was the only Mike Fuller. Okay. I was the only female. Yes, I was the only female on the football team. 110 guys. I mean, and he was the only one. I mean, outside of all my coaches, when I could think of who I had beef with, I mean, even my personal coach. Of course, coaches like mold you into who you're supposed to be. Yeah. And I think even some teachers that I can look back on now, like, it's just like some people, like they don't know how to be that kind of person. Especially, I was the first woman he had ever coached, so maybe it was just so like taboo for him, but he was just very disrespectful to me. Did we try to have an understanding? Yes, but then I would post like things on social media. I remember I posted, I was like, I know I'm gonna survive playing football because I'm too stubborn to quit. And then he'd be like, why are you posting this stuff? Like, he just had like made up beef with me is what I call it. Like, he just had such hostility towards me. So when he disrespected me after like seeing like guys, some of like the best guys that played for us, like hit some of the coaches and be disrespectful back to them, of course, like for him to respect me, I always spoke what was on my mind. Like, he would never come for me and me not stand up. Like, you're not going to treat me like I'm this big ever. No one will ever make me feel that small. So like the whole falling out with me and him, after we'd argued probably like the whole 2 years of me being on the team, I'd wore a t-shirt. I remember I was at lunch, and he told on me to the principal. I had a t-shirt on, and he was just doing his job. Now that I got it, but it said Markers Maker Whiskey. Like, I didn't think anything about it, but I watched him go tell the principal up on me, and I was like, 16? I was like, he's such a snitch. Snitch. And then I got called to the office. That's when I knew he did it, you know, and I went back to class, and Tanner Cross is a snitch too. He, the one that plays for Dartmouth. Yeah, that's
me and Chelsea grew up together.
Okay.
Yeah, we
bless his heart. We were sitting in English class. I'll never forget it. It all happened. It transpired like a chain of events. And we were sitting in English class, and I was pissed. Because I had to turn my shirt inside out, and I can't remember what happened. But I sat there, and I was like, he's always, like, coming for me. We always, like, we didn't have, like, a good relationship, so I can only imagine the things that I said. Tanner recorded it and sent it to coach while we were sitting in class. So by the time I got down to football practice, it was his approach to me. Coach came right up, stormed. I mean, you're big as hell. I'm this little girl. Right. And what's all that you were saying about me? Well, the kind of person I am, I'm saying it all to his face. Yeah. This is what I said. I said this, and that. But he was saying everything I said to a T. I knew Tanner and told him. Damn it, Tanner. I was like, who would have told him all of this?
Damn, Tanner.
So that happened, and then it was a very bad conversation. Coach Curry, the head coach of Northside's football team now, was in there the whole time. So and I have a lot of respect for him, always did.
Yeah.
But I remember, like, just looking at Coach Fuller, like, just thinking he was, like, scum on the bottom of my shoe, the way he talked to me and treated me. You have to get respect, you have to give it. And
Right,
I
you
always
do,
had
yeah.
that level of respect for myself. Like, you ain't finna talk to me no type of way. You're never gonna, I didn't see my mom be disrespected. So I was never
Okay.
gonna be
That's what I
someone,
was gonna ask you.
like, doormat would never walk all over me.
It took me a long time to get that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
up until probably a few years ago, I really felt that now then I demanded that. When did that click for you that you realized this is, I am who I am and you are not going to treat me? Have you just always always naturally kind of held your head that way?
Yeah, I think.
You think?
Or whenever I was introduced to horses through that whole process, it was like, that really changed everything. Like, I feel like statistically what it says I should be and who I am is because I was introduced to horses.
Okay, and we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
So you graduate high school.
Mhm.
Where do you want to go? In high school, do you have an idea of where you're headed?
Oh no! Like,
Where do
I
you
signed up for Arkansas Tech like 2 weeks before admissions.
Okay,
was.
yeah.
I was like, oh, am I going to college? I was like, oh, I guess so.
Yeah.
All I knew was school though, so I was like, I know I'm going to school.
You love
I
school?
just didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that after high school, I sold all of my rodeo stuff because I was like, I'm never doing that shit again. They're all racist.
Okay.
And then
let's get it. Okay, let's get into
yeah.
that before we get into. Take us to. I feel like we're a little bit hopping, but that's okay because this is all going to connect, and I know that we're going to connect everything here in a bit. Take us to. You said that you got into horses. I want to know about that journey because I think that's a big part of your story and why you are here today. So. You got introduced to horses when, and take us through your journey with that and up into graduation. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah. So I was introduced to horses when I was 6. I was going to counseling, and she just like introduced. Well, she did that, but she asked me and my mom if we would just come to her house. She was like, she just felt like she wasn't having any progression with me. Like, it was 2 months, and I dealt with a lot. Like, after was I sexually assaulted to the extent of other people? Absolutely not. But did it have a huge impact on me? Just knowing, I think it was more of realizing I understand what had happened to me was wrong because I didn't know.
Right.
So,
and it is so I used to work at the psychiatric hospital here in Fort. That's really where my passion was psychology and stuff. So I dealt with a lot of kids that have been abused, and there is levels of abuse, but it's all the same to me in the sense of it's your body. And if anybody, and I want to make that very clear to whoever is, listening, whether this is something they have gone through, your body is your body. Okay. And it doesn't matter what you're wearing, what you say, or how you present yourself. That is your body. And nobody has the right to disrespect your body in any way.
Absolutely.
At any age, at any time, at any circumstance. Does anybody have any right to disrespect your body?
Oh, yeah.
So it could, it doesn't matter what the level is. What happened to you was wrong and was never your fault.
Absolutely.
And I hope that other people, if they are watching this, know that.
Yes.
So I just wanted to say that because
Oh, yeah.
that's very important for
just
people to understand.
Being able to, just being so young and like having that really open relationship with my mom, like, oh, like, I forgot to tell you what happened to me, even though it was a few months later. I'll never forget, like, being and sitting in, like, the Fort Smith Police Department's, like, their little interview rooms, and, like, being young, telling them my story. My mom, she stepped out of the room, and I remember the police officer, he was like, you're the lucky one, and I didn't feel lucky, but he was like, we have been trying to get this guy for a really long time, and he was like, where you were sexually assaulted, he's actually been having sexual intercourse with his nieces that were younger than you, and I was 6.
So was he and stop me if I won't go too invasive. Was he a family member or
Not
just a
to
family
me.
friend?
A family friend. I was actually with my grandmother. She was outside doing an 8 ball while I was inside. So yeah, but even till, like, it never changed how I felt about her. My mother, of course, they didn't talk for years. But
I'm sure your
for
mom
me,
was pissed.
she was like, oh, I remember, like, why can't I go to my grandma's house? Like, I just wanted to be there with her. Always, like, from as little as I can remember, always loved her. So, yeah, so my mom was like, okay, we're going to get you into counseling and stuff like that. And so my counselor, she invited us to her house. And I always say that, she set me down in the saddle that day, and I remember she was like, this is a 1,500-pound animal. If you can control this horse, you can control anything that comes your way. And I remember I always say she sat me down in that saddle and she handed me the reins to my freedom. And like I've literally
tissues.
Yeah, I've been riding horses like ever since.
Was it ever a part of your family before?
No.
So this is new for you and your mom.
I'm a first generation cowgirl. Yeah, so
I've got to.
yeah, and it was never something I didn't know after that.
Okay.
Didn't even have horses. When I started rodeoing, rodeo queening, I never had horses, but I had drive and always had enough people around me
to make sure you were successful.
Yeah.
So you saw that horse. What an incredible analogy to present to you. Wow.
That was, yeah.
So take us from there. What happens? I'm like, she said, wait a minute, I was not expecting this one. Okay.
Yeah, so I rodeoed for the first time when I was 13, and then I joined the Old Fort Day Standees, and then I did my rodeo queen competition while I was a dandy, and then, at the end of high school, I went to college, and that's whenever.
Can I just ask you something real quick? Because of that situation that happened to you, had that not happened to you, who knew if you would have the rodeoing?
Yeah.
Looking back on that, is there some sense of peace that you have with that?
Oh yeah.
Because it brought this whole world of something that maybe never would have happened to you.
Oh yeah.
Is that maybe like the best way of like kind of coming at peace and healing? Is like, man, this came.
I always hate like whenever I do interviews and I like talk about it and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, had that not happened, I probably wouldn't even know or be half the person that I am. So like I don't feel sorry for myself.
Yeah.
I like that.
So
you're not a victim.
Yeah. The only thing that really pissed me off is when he was released from prison. I was
gonna ask you
2 years ago. He died like 3 months later, and I was pissed because I was like, damn, I didn't even get to ever say anything to his face.
Did you want to?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask him what was wrong with him.
Yeah.
Why was he such a sicko?
Right. Did he
maybe hit him with my car? I just didn't know. But I
just
have something.
Where's his grave? Because we'll go fuck that. Yeah. I'm with the shits today, girl. Come on, I got one leg, but I might not be able to get away real quick if we get caught. But my ass gonna be running with you. And I think that because I've met a lot of victims of sexual assault and. It's easy to jump into that victim mentality and use a particular situation as to why your life has fallen apart post that. Don't get me wrong. I think, sure, yes, bad shit can happen, but I do think how you react to it is what changes your future. So by you finding that, and God bless your counselor, and God bless your mom for getting you the help, because there's a lot of kids that don't and don't have that family support there to really help you heal from that. And I hope your mom's done a lot of healing too. So I'm sure she felt a lot of guilt and a lot of blaming herself, so wow, so
yeah,
wow.
I think she works on herself.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of healing there. So now you decided, oh my gosh, I've got these horses. I want to dive into that. You brought up a minute ago about the racist thing. So obviously, it's no secret here. I've been the only white person in the show. Okay. I don't know if y'all noticed or not, but, and so I, as a person, these are uncomfortable conversations for me because I say that because my mind frame is just different. I've not, we talked about this earlier. I lived in literal, I've just been so diverse my whole life that it's not, how do I say? I'm trying to say this in a way. I don't have that like viewpoint because I don't. I'm not there. I'm not in your shoes. I don't know, right? And I don't feel that way, and I've never treated anyone that way. And so, and if there's anybody in my past or my family, I don't know them. I didn't have anything to do with that, and all I can do is teach my kids to. My son didn't know that this was an issue. He's always been the only white kid playing travel ball. Like his brothers, have been black, what he's called. He was raised by a black man for many years of his life. I've always, dated interracially. Like that's when I, first met you. Like I had dated, so it's been something, and that's not even just with color. It's, with gender preference and stuff too. My kids have been exposed to a lot of diversity. Right. So going into that, paint that picture for me, what that was like for you. You brought up being a part of the Dandies, correct? What was that like for you?
Yeah. See, I didn't know racism either. I was
Okay.
always the only black kid at the white schools. I mean, I went to Trinity. I graduated from Hackett. I mean,
Did you really? My
Yeah.
daughter goes to Hackett.
yeah. Yes.
Stop it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I didn't know racism until I was actually on the Dandy.
So you
You
kind of
saying this
used
from
to.
Hackett?
Huh?
Listen, let me tell you, saying this from Hackett,
Yeah.
Oh, they
you
love
have
me.
okay, because you're either with it there
Yeah.
or you're not.
Yeah.
Hackett is a very, very. I think since my daughter's dad, that's where I met him. I was from Fort Smith. He went to Hackett, and I met him at a football game. And then I'd been around. My daughter's been to Hackett her whole life,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I can count on one hand how many black people I have seen
yeah.
come through that school.
Yeah.
It's
And
a-
as dark as me.
Well, and yeah, and
Yeah.
and there it's not. It's a
Yeah.
very. It's predominantly white,
Mhm.
and that even goes for Asians, Hispanics, or anything else.
Oh, yeah.
So for you to say, like, paint that picture, like
Yeah.
she's in the country
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
I
very
remember-
small-minded people.
My freshman year of college, the counselor called me. She was like, we just got audited. They're coming next week to make sure that, there's no racism at our school. She's like, did you ever go through anything? I was like, no. Like,
You
y'all
didn't
loved
at
me.
all.
Never.
Wow.
And she was like, yeah, I don't think your friends would have let that happen anyways. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
they wouldn't.
So I'm surprised
Yeah.
I haven't seen you throughout the year.
Mhm.
Because my daughter, I mean, she's younger than you, but like go
Yeah.
in school at the same time. So wow, that's incredible
Yeah.
because that paints that picture for me so vividly. Because
Mhm.
I know for you to thrive in that environment,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
got to be a lot. So
Mhm.
you're in the Dandies.
Yeah. I honestly had always wanted to be a dandy.
Okay.
Like, I was like 12 and 13 years old, like texting them like, hey, I don't have a horse.
Yeah,
like,
I feel
I
like
would, how
that's
can I be a
the
Indian?
royal
Yeah.
horse.
like of the rodeo
Yeah.
world. Like that's how I always saw those kind of girls.
Yeah. So I was like, and then never thought I would be one. And I remember I got kicked off the football team. And I was like, okay, I'm not wasting another year at Northside. I
Okay.
transferred to Hackett.
Why
And then,
Hackett?
my first boyfriend was from Hackett.
Oh, really?
Yes, I met him
Okay.
at Waffle House.
Oh, really?
And he took me around all of his friends, and they were all Hackett people. We went to
He went to Hackett?
magazine. Yeah. His
trying to think.
dad's a butcher out there.
You have to tell me who he is because I'm like,
I know.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
who is he?
You probably know
Who
them.
is he?
The Valencias.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
But it's a small, it's a small town.
Mm-hmm.
And
Natalie.
You know?
His mom.
You know?
Yeah, my daughter's dad and his family, that's all they lived there their entire lives. Like they're
Mhm.
like 15th generation of
Yeah.
Hackett and Bonanza. So
Yeah.
wow, okay.
Yeah, I actually used a Bonanza address. too.
Did you really? Oh my
Yeah,
God.
I'm trying to think of their names. Love them. They're this cute little family. They all are very. I can't think of Tara, the Blantons.
Oh,
I used their address.
They live on that road. They have a little really.
Yeah.
That's where I had my first kiss to Brooklyn's dad. Was at that house over there
Yeah.
in front of it.
Yeah.
Yes, they're great
So-
people. Are you
Oh, I
friends with
love
their
them.
daughter?
Yeah, I actually met them through Tara. I met the mom and all of
Yeah,
them.
isn't she hot?
Yeah,
God,
that's what I
they're
say. They all
beautiful.
look very
They all look
alike
alike.
and skinny and perfect,
Yes,
like
see,
Barbies.
Yes, and her dad, he was a boxer.
Mhm.
So Thurman would come in and train with us and spar with us and stuff. Like
Yeah.
they're great people.
Yeah,
Holy crap!
sweetheart.
So, I don't
Is he
know.
the one that trained you boxing?
No, he didn't train, but he would come into world class and like he would hit the back, so then he would spar with us and stuff. Like you're talking about like magazine beautiful people. Like
Oh,
they're
yeah,
so
they're
hot.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Wow. What a small.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's
Okay.
So so I got introduced to like all these Hackett people. I mean, so much respect. I remember the first time that I met what was it? It was one of the Ledbetter brothers,
Yeah.
Wyatt, and he had a Confederate flag on his truck.
Okay.
I remember I was like, I think that's offensive, to black people, but I didn't know nothing about it. I think I even took a picture with it.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't know anything about it. It's not like
it's
they're
so
teaching us
common.
that in school. Like,
Right.
hey, this is, but I remember talking to him about it, and he told me how, his perspective
Yeah.
of like everything. And we just had like a really good understanding.
Oh,
And then
that's
like
awesome.
next weekend at the party, he didn't have it on his truck no more. Like, they loved me. There was never any
Oh, my
disrespect.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
they
respect for you then. That's cool.
Is it Alan? I know Alan led.
Yeah,
Alan.
the white guy.
Yeah, he's the one I
Yeah,
boxed with
yeah.
him too.
See, no, I know their dad isn't a boxer.
Okay.
He's a little crazy.
Well, this guy, he's he's a little bit younger than me.
Mhm.
But beside the point. That's what is. I'm
Yeah.
like, my mind is blown. I'm like, holy crap. So the Confederate flag, I feel like, has always been, because if you go into Hackett, you will see that everywhere. And it was honestly a culture shock for me. I'm not very country at all. I wasn't raised in the country. So when I went to the Hackett Hartford football game, I was like, they're sitting in their trucks on this, like, they didn't sit in stands. Like, they rolled up in the back of the bed of their trucks and like sat by the gulp. Like, it was so out of my, like, I just wasn't used to that. So like, for you diving into that, it had to been, was it different for you?
Oh, I felt so comfortable.
Did you?
Did you?
Yeah,
Cool.
they embraced me like no other.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
I was friends
so
with a
good to
lot of
hear.
the Hartford kids too. My
Yeah.
senior year is when they merged.
Merged. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
My
yeah,
brother's the
just-
one that stole the beaver from Hartford and burnt it.
Oh, really?
White people shit right there. That's what they did.
Yeah.
So you got in the Dandies. When did that adversity start for you?
It took a little bit.
Did it?
You know, they were all my friends at first, and then I remember just like, oh my gosh, it was really the approach of everything. I probably would have been able to handle it better if it was approached to me better. But I just remember one day, it was during Old Fort Days, I think. No, we were just at Old Fort Days. I think we were doing our potluck, and my coach come out to me, and I rode my coach's horse. Like, I thought we had like a really great relationship. She hates me now, but I understand why. But she come up to me while I think I was out there brushing the horse, just making sure the horse was together, and she's just like, watch who you talk to. Not everybody's your friend. Well, I'm 17 years old. Why the hell would you come tell someone 17, like, watch who you talk to?
Yeah.
So I stopped talking to every damn body. It's like, I don't know who my friends are.
smart.
I was like, what's going on?
Right. Okay.
And then it was like, so I stopped talking to everybody, and then everybody else starts talking. Oh, she's not talking to us. We all been talking about me. So I didn't know what was going on.
They're not perceiving it as something
Yeah.
wrong. Now are they perceiving it like you think you're doing good for them?
Yeah, just like in a negative way. And then I remember my coach, she finally addressed it. She was like, "Hey, there's three families that are in a group message, and they're talking negatively about you." And I dated the guy from Hackett. There was a picture of me and Zen, and we were both holding beer cans. And like, you could not drink if you were a dandy. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But like, this was before I was on the team. Like,
Oh, okay.
I wasn't on the team. Like, and it was like a flipogram. Like, they were looking so hard for me. You had to like find Zen, find the fact that I was like, go through his Instagram, not just go through it, but you had to like sit and watch, and then pause the flipogram to screenshot it. Like,
Were you
Yeah.
the first black dandy?
full black, yes. I
I
believe
didn't know if
that there
was
was a biracial woman before me.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Okay.
I honestly, I don't.
But you're the
know.
one that kind of made.
Yeah.
You're the one that came in
Yeah.
like a wrecking ball here.
Yeah.
I say that like you're coming in.
Yeah.
Like
I didn't fit in. I wasn't white passing at all.
Okay.
Not at
Yeah, I
all.
see what
So
you're saying.
they definitely, I was definitely, I feel like a target for them.
Yeah.
Especially the racist ones. And then you come in, and not only am I, like the first black girl they've had to deal with, I'm actually good at riding horses too.
So
And so it's like some of their
So
girls
like-
have been on the team for 4 years, and I'm practicing in their daughter's position. And I feel like that's why one of the main moms she still hates me to this. She's a fan. I stopped calling them haters. She's a fan of me till this day, because I rode in her daughter's position. But yeah,
I've heard
so
that dandies are like that. I
Yeah.
have heard that it's like, like you got the cheer mom.
oh yeah.
That this is like that.
Mhm.
Like it's like
Oh, so it's kind
it's
of
like some Lifetime and
Mhm.
like murder somebody to get their daughter spot type of
Yeah.
kid. Like,
And then
I've
I
heard
didn't
that.
have my own horses, so I was riding the coach's horses. So then, I was actually just good at what I was doing.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of, there was some girls that didn't like me straight off the gate, didn't care. But then there was one girl, like, she was my dandy sister, loved her. Her family speaks negatively on me now, bless their hearts, though. I mean, they all have something to say about me. They came from,
What's the negativity about? Though?
you want me to tell you, I was just getting into it.
Yeah.
They come from 10 and 12 acres of land, seven horse slants, trailers. They come from, going and pick out whichever horse that they want to on their pasture. And I came from none of that, and still did more with borrowing horses than they ever did with what they came from. That's where all the hate comes from. Still was able to make so much more than what they were able to do with what they have, just off of the strength of having drive and the determination to be something more than what I came from. Yeah. That's why they hate on me, because
Did anybody know your story Did anybody, not that I don't think you guys,
as far as the
"Damn,
dandies.
so this is why I decided to ride a horse. I was, assaulted. But
Huh.
like nobody knew, you know what I'm saying? Like you don't
Yeah,
lead with that.
true,
Yeah.
Did
yeah.
anybody have any
I don't-
idea where you came
Like,
from?
I mean, your coach
I
didn't
don't
know.
think
I mean,
so.
your
So,
best
so this
friend?
is all just strength of this girl
Yeah.
just showing up and thinking,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
wow.
So, yeah, I mean, I remember like being like the first time Timber Stevens, her brother's Cody Stevens, the first time he called me a Negro Bob the Builder, I was like, what the hell did I do to him?
Oh my god.
Yes, on video. I was like, oh no, that's what he said. I'm sorry, not on video. On video, he said, oh, nobody's jealous of you. You look like a monkey performing in a circus.
Whoa.
And I remember just being like 16, 17, like, damn, what the hell did I do to these people? Like, why do they, why,
Because you were so good.
so it's like, if I sit and like tethered back and forth in my head, like, why is this woman in her mid 50s still making Facebook statuses about me and I haven't seen her in 7 years? Like, it's like I would be all over the place. But whenever I think about it, like, I mean, that's what I've come up with is like, they had everything. And then they see this little black girl that had nothing. And then she's on TV. She's in magazines. She's doing this. That should be my daughter. The same way when I was being called Negro Bob the Builders and I was a monkey performing in a circus, that should be my daughter riding, not her. So, I mean.
And the first thing to, because okay, like thinking about when you speak negatively about somebody, they can't go for your looks because you're beautiful. What are they going to say about that? And it's like, I don't know because I've not walked in your shoes, but I mean, it almost seems like because they can't tear you down about anything else.
Yeah, they
the
make
first
up
thing they go
lies.
for is the race,
Oh
right?
my goodness, it's lies. Like,
If you and you were being a piece of shit to people and you were, had an ugly soul and coming in, whatever, it still does not make any reason to bring up somebody's race, right?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you just may be a shitty person, but bringing in anybody's race or sexual orientation is never. I think we need to step back from that because if you're a shitty person, Lloyd, has nothing to do with the fact that if you're gay, straight,
Right.
white, black, blue, whatever, you're just a shitty person.
Yeah.
You're just a shitty person.
Absolutely.
And we need to quit going after genders and quit going after race because you're taking away the true authentic what people are,
I mean,
and you're the whole package. So what else are you going to bring down? Like, it's
Exactly.
And I
awful.
always have to remind myself, like, the same adults that are speaking negatively about me were the same adults bullying me when I was a 16-year-old girl in the Old Fort Days Dandies trying to ride horses. So I will never justify their anger, their hate, their hostility towards me.
Right.
Y'all been feeling that way. I feel like, like, how do you justify that? Y'all were bullying me as a child before I did all of the things that y'all make up and lie about.
Yeah.
So it's like whatever
Before I
narrative.
really, like I'm just riding horses here, bitch. Wait,
Yeah.
I've been in
Yes.
this.
And I think it's more too, I didn't know I would be this person. Neither did you. If you knew I was going to be this person, you would have treated me better. So,
that part.
and that's
that
where they're
part.
like, oh, you're always trying to tear the dandies down. No, I'm just talking on how you guys treated me. If you wanted me to speak better about you, you should have treated me better, but you
That
didn't.
part.
Speaking
My
the truth,
coach, she gets so mad. She's like, you never say this. I've never been, I've never hid the fact that I borrowed people's horses. That's what they don't understand. They're always like, she didn't have this, she didn't have that, she didn't have a trailer to
We
pull
did
a
this
horse
for
in.
her.
You don't realize that what is the word? The reason I have so much success is because I had none of that shit and still made all of this happen. Like, you still don't get it. You still trying to tear me down and say what I didn't have and what you did have, and you don't realize because I didn't have it, my story is that much more impactful. Like, dang, you was doing all this and you didn't have none of it, and y'all had all of it and wasn't doing nothing with it.
Today's episode would not be possible without our sponsors. Today's sponsor is Stainless Innovations, Designs, and Fabric Custom. It's an equipment for front and back of house food service faculties across America. Headquartered here in Fort Smith, Arkansas. To get in contact with them, 479-783-1900. Stainless Innovations, thank you for sponsoring our podcast for today.